Assalamu alaikum. Well, thank you. That really makes me feel welcome. How's everybody doing today? Thanks to Father, I'm doing very, very well. You know, since this tour began, let me share this with you. You all look really, really good. You really look good. And this is from my heart. I love you so much that what I say across this rostrum and this speaker, and that is, as it is put on tape, I want to make sure that what I say is accurate and it's right. So I may be slow at times, because today I'm going to give you a brief history of the last 20 years of my activity along with Allah, what we've been doing, so that I may show you that I'm not some Johnny-come-lately that has just popped up on the scene and sharing that he's Elijah returned. So we'll let the facts speak for themselves, okay? So stay with me, all right? Maybe a little lengthy at times. I may go into detail, however, I think that it's important that it's done this way so that you can have a thorough knowledge as to who you're looking at. Now, the ones that I will be speaking about, the new Allah that's on the scene, and the Royall family, all the people that we have come into contact with, and the contacts that were made 10, 15 years ago, how they're still playing themselves out today. You know, we've met people that are owners of the land of where the observatories are going to be built, where the 144,000 to go to be cleaned up on all 3 levels before they're sent into the city. That's still ongoing. You know, we've met people that we prepared for the South. We've met people that have become a part of the Royall family. Okay, well, I will be getting into all of this. So be patient. And as the Secretary has shared, let it in. Let it in, because the time is extremely, extremely dangerous at this time. It is extremely dangerous because of the destruction that's coming. And if you don't have a strong foothold, if you don't know where to go and what to do at this particular time, especially in this state, it's all over. You're going to be lost. And now, I mean lost in a big way. So, what I would like to do, I would like to share with you my introduction to Allah. Would y'all like to hear that? Yes, sir. And I'll bring you from that point all the way forward to today. Okay? I remember back in 1982, at the time, the woman that I was married to at the time, my first marriage, we had been really, really blessed because we'd been given knowledge of how the food works as far as curing the bodies of any disease that exists. We were given this knowledge as to how to incorporate the food along with the sun, the air, and the water to cure anything. Okay? Now, this was done in the 70s. This was long before I met Allah. However, going through the process of it, I understand also that this knowledge was given by the people we call the scientists today, okay, that govern everything that goes on the planet. So this knowledge was given to us in the 70s, and while I was actually going through it and practicing it and mastering it, I was saying to myself, and the one that I was married to at the time, I said, you know, this is something special. You know, we're going through something. Not everybody on the planet knows this. Matter of fact, hardly anybody does. I said, this is going to lead up to something special. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know what it is, but it's going to lead up to something special. So she knew that I was looking for answers as well as any of us do. You know, what is the meaning of life? And if you were brought up Christian, then you're taught certain things about good and evil. about the Jesus Christ and how he died on the cross for us and he shed his blood for us. However, there were more questions that were raised actually than answers. Yes, thank you. More questions that were actually raised than answers. So she knew that I was searching and that I was seeking. I was looking. Man, I just got to find out. So at the time, I didn't realize it then. I found out later that this woman was actually sent to me. She was put with me so that she could actually hold me back, so that I wouldn't be a success in this man's world. In other words, it was done in such a way where I was in it, but I wasn't a part of it. And it was very simple how she did it. She always kept me broke. Yeah. Spin. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's the way it actually happened. So it had gotten to the point where I said, well, there's got to be something better than this. In other words, the time was up as far as her and I being together, being married as husband and wife. So I had gotten to the point where I actually had separated from her. And at the same time, Allah had moved into the same neighborhood where we were. And I didn't know it. How we met were through the children, the family that he had spoken of the mother that had the 10 that were to balance his 10. Her 10 was the water to balance his 10, which was of the fire. Okay, so he had some of them with him in the same neighborhood that I was in. And the way that we met was through the children through school. My children was going to the same school that his were. And then my wife at the time had become acquainted with him and Sister Margaret, the wife he was married to at the time. And through their union, or through their getting together, their union, she actually recognized this one as being Allah. She actually recognized that this was the one that I was seeking to see. And when she had introduced the idea to me as far as meeting him, she had ulterior motives. She wanted to get me back. Okay? So it was presented to me. She said, I've found the one that you've been seeking. She said, I've found the Savior. And so I chuckled under my breath. I said, maybe I'll go check him out. I have a couple of questions, burning questions that no one has been able to answer. Let's see if he can answer them for me. And this was the thought that I had. So the day finally came around to where we would meet, January 12th, 1983. Now, I had met him July 4th, 1982. However, at the time, it wasn't expressed to me as to who he is. This was done sometime later in 82. And the time finally came around in 83 on my birthday that we actually sat down, the new Allah and myself, and we talked. So one of the burning questions that was in my mind was, what is this great controversy between God and Satan? What is this all about? He said, whoa. He said that like, well, I'm going to have to go back to the beginning. I'm going to have to dig into this one. However, the explanation, the answer that he gave, he said that, well, the first God, or the original Allah, created himself out of total triple darkness. In other words, there was no exterior light in space as the sun, as we know it today. It was darkness on the spiritual level, it was darkness on the mental level, and it was darkness on the physical level. So what he was and is, or what he was at the time when he created himself, he was just the want atom. All right, space is perpetual. It is constantly, all the time, mixing together elements. So at this particular time, the want atom was created. And from him creating himself, or the want that he wanted was to put intelligent purpose and order to the energy so that it would have a purposeful motion instead of being haphazard and random as it was before he came into existence. However, as we know now, what was in the darkness was Satan, as we know now. In other words, it was in the material. And what that means is there was nothing. This is what he's constantly trying to take everything back to now. You know, it's an effort to go into motion. You all know that, right? It's an effort to stand up and to walk. Any type of motion, you always have a counter motion to make it lie still. All right, so as he started to go into motion, he recognized that something came along with him that wasn't of him. In other words, he didn't have the same idea that he was about, and that was going into motion. So since there wasn't any spirituality by that, as far as how to think into existence a completed idea as to what you want and what all is involved to put that into motion, at the time he created himself, that didn't exist. So the negative, or Satan, came along with him in his creation. And at times it would show, and he couldn't figure it out. You know, what is this that is against me? What is this that is not a part of me? What is it that doesn't have the same idea that I have as being in motion? And what he figured out was that as long as he was present in the creation, it wouldn't show itself fully. Okay? So I'm going to stop right there as far as the explanation or the answer to the question that I had asked Allah, that was burning in my mind, that had to really, really be resolved. So he answered that one. And then the second question that I had was, what was the highest form of energy food on the planet? Not very many people know that. Y'all know it now? Anybody know the answer now? And he came across so fast with it, he said, oh, it's fruit. Fruit is the highest energy form of food on the planet. So the answers, and I'm sure that you've had burning questions also that have been answered by Allah. I'm sure you have. And the answers, when they were given, you know, they touched my soul. They sparked a fire in me that wanted, I said, man, well, this has got to get out. You know what I'm saying? Because I could sense that this one here, there wasn't a question that you couldn't ask him that he didn't have an answer for. And us being made up of truth, when we heard the answer, it touched our nature. And you know the answer was right, and you know that it was exact. And it started in us a fire, a burning, that you wanted for your brother as well, what you were getting. So I wanted to put this into motion. So I shared with him, I said, you know, because of the answers that you have given me, it has made me so happy. I said, if there's anything that I can do, let me know. So he looked at me and he said, oh, I said, okay. And I found out sometime later, he had shared with me that he had asked my wife at that time. He said, your husband serious? She said, oh, yes, sir. Once he makes up his mind to do something, he sticks with it. He's not going to back away from it. He said, oh, okay. So I meant it. I did mean that. Whatever I could do, just let me know. So this was 1983, January 12th, my birthday. I'll never forget it. And then I had a second meeting with him 2 weeks later. And then after that, it's like we split. We left the area, the community that we were in. This was Waldorf, Maryland, where all this took place. My family and my family left there. He and his family at the time left. He went back to Chicago. I moved my family to where, at the time, the woman that I was married to, my first wife, wanted to be. It was a new complex that was just going up. I said, all right, since she had done this for me and she wanted to be into this new area, I moved her there. However, we still weren't together. We were still separated. Okay? So as time progressed during that year, when April rolled around, Allah showed up again, made contact, and shared with my first former wife that he had something that he wanted her to do. And that was to go and be with this one whose name is Margaret, that had the family of 10, to share with her the knowledge, in other words, be a sister to her for a short period of time. Okay, so she went and she did that. And as it progressed, however, she was doing it for reasons other than being right. Okay, she had it, thought that what she was doing in her emotion was to bring me into a light where I would see her as being favorable as to where we would get back together again. However, as time progressed, that actually showed up, so it never took place. So going on through the rest of that year, there was contact back and forth. Now this is the beginning or the foundation that the new Allah and myself, Elijah Return, was starting to set for the future. Okay, so all of 1983 was the acquaintance, getting to know. So I was anxious to go. I was anxious to get ready and start going. So it was like actually his entity had returned, let's see, 1979 to 83, was that 4 years? So his entire entity had returned 4 years before I actually met him. So then, in spiritual terms, here was Allah, who was actually only 4 years old, spiritually. A full-grown man, however, only 4 years old spiritually. So actually, a 4-year-old, he knows how to walk, he knows how to talk, can think. All right, and I'm speaking on the spiritual realm now. He turned 21 in the year 2000. That was last year. So he is full grown in every aspect of the term. 21 years old spiritually, as being a spiritual, the spiritual part of him as being Allah, as well as being a full grown man in stature. So he's totally balanced now. We recognize anyone as being 21, hey, they can be charged for any and everything. Is that right? They can be charged for their actions. So then, let me get back. At the time, he was 4 years old. So as we grew together, as the plan unfolded, now I had been on the scene as Elijah. I had passed off the scene. When I was born the second time to come back on the scene in 1949, Elijah at the time was 52. Well, I'm 52 now. All right, and I'm standing up as being Elijah Returned, the king. All right, and I'm sharing with you how that actually mended together and took place, and how I can stand here with authority and say that I am that. All right, so as I progress with the story, keep up with me now. All right. So after our contact, things started to happen right away. As I was around him and noticed the way that he did things, how he spoke, where it is written of him that here is one that would appear as though he was slain from the foundation of the earth, that he had gap between his teeth and moles on his face and gaps between his teeth, and speaking a strange language. Well, if you've ever hear this new Allah speak, you will notice right away that there is no negative in his expression. None whatsoever. So to us, that's strange, because we always attach Satan most of the time when we speak. Okay? So this one here doesn't have that. So his actions and his expressions of the language is always set, and it allows you, actually it almost make you go into a forward positive motion consistently all the time. Nothing is ever said that comes across his tongue that would ever set you backwards. He's never expressed the language in that way at all. I can bear witness to that from the whole time that I've been with him, and that's going on 20 years. So from 1983 into 1984, we started almost immediately meeting people that would play a large role into the future as to what was going to take place with the Nation of Islam. However, in its spiritual infancy, aside from what we know as the Nation of Islam existing today, there was another part that was being developed because we knew that this one was going to fall because of the ones that was coming on the scene behind myself. We knew that this one was going to fall. However, there's another stage that had to take place, a completion of what was started. And this was what we were working on, what we have been working on. And today what you see is the end result. And the reason why it seemed like we just jumped on the stage was because of the solid, infallible way that the base and foundation was set. Because, once your foundation is set, y'all know this on anything. If you're going to build a house, the mighty footings have to go in first. You have to dig your holes, set your footings, pour the concrete. That's the slowest part of the whole building process. Once the solid foundation has been set, then everything else can be put into place very, very rapidly. So it took 13 years to put the foundation into place. It is written that Solomon built his house in 13 years. However, you didn't hear a hammer ringing, or you didn't hear saws or nails being pounded. The house that he was building was a people's nature, getting them prepared to be leaders in positions of the expression of the part of him that is in them for this particular time that's coming up now. Okay, so this is what was developed in each one of the individuals. So in 1984, the spring of 1984, as we have mentioned so many times before, and this is a learning process that all of us will have to develop, and this allows us to get back into the Godhood way of thinking. You always follow the hints and clues. There are signs that are given to us all the time. Most of the time, we're not even aware of it. However, we had become so attuned to it that everything that happened, we investigated. And by doing so, we met this one sister where the scientists had shared with her the property that she owned. There was going to be 4 holy boys to visit there. Okay? Now, they had spoken with her 12 years before we even met her, before she met us. And she had 2 volumes of information that they had given her on these 4 holy boys. And they described them to a T. So when we showed up, that was evidence to her, hey, these are the ones, that is going to own the property. So then we actually had the 4 holy boys in Altoona, and this, I call it really a holy mountain. If you see it, you'll understand why I speak of it that way. Because it's where the property is right in between 2 mountain chains. If they go like this, parallel like this, the land and property is inside the 2. So it's protected on both sides. Okay, the property is protected on both sides. So then, in our getting acquainted with her, and her in turn getting acquainted with us, there was a vast amount of knowledge that was stored in her that she expressed to us. She couldn't wait. She would go on for days. And she would share with me, yes, and Brother Joseph, you're going to be this and you're going to be that, and it's going to take 10 years. And, after a while, there's no way you could keep it all in. You know what I'm saying? So she had it written down. However, she was also a reader. In other words, she could look at you and tell, oh, yes, okay, well, this is what's going to happen to you. That's the way that it was. So each of these individuals and people that we met during this particular time, as the years progressed, was a part of the setting of the foundation of what you see now. They either contributed to our growth spiritually, or they contributed monetarily, or whatever. There was a contribution. And us and Allah and myself in turn gave the spirituality part. Okay, let's progress on to 1985. In 1985, we always read the signs, and there's always hints and clues that tells you where you have to go next. All right, this actually works, and if you try it, you'll see that it works for you even today. So, we were in the Holy Mountain from August of 1984 until December of 84. And in December of 84, reading the hints and clues and the signs, it shared with us, hey, it was time to go. There are those of us, when we hear the truth, we know right away what happens. Anytime you have emotion, there's a counter motion named Satan that comes right up and want to take you back to zero. Is that right? So then with the people that we were meeting and carry on this activity with, they had been given a certain amount of time to digest it, say, yes, it's true, I'm part of it, what can I do? Those of them that went that way, they went that way. And there was others that said, they allowed Satan to speak to them. Because they were thinking advantage in another way. You could take the knowledge that Father or Allah imparts to us, and if you're not right in your thinking, then you want to use it for your comfortability. You understand what I'm sharing? So then this is what took place with this spiritual woman that had been told about us 12 years before we met her. And some of the activity that she started engaging against us shared with us that it was time to go. It was just that simple. So where was the next sign? Well, we received a telephone call. Allah's second oldest daughter, she was asking for help. And she was in Chicago. And Allah had shared with me, he says, I got 4 daughters. I said, oh, yes, sir. I was so in love with the truth and what he was sharing, I never even gave a second thought, as to his daughters. I said, oh, yes, sir. You got 10 children, yes. 6 boys, 4 girls, or 5 and 5. I think it's 5 and 5. I'll have an exact, or he will clear that up when he comes by me. Or come up next, I should say. And, okay, well, it registered in my mind. All right. However, I was so in love with what I was being taught because it was working. You see, I was in a situation and circumstance also that I couldn't get out of. I did everything that I could. The knowledge that I had just didn't allow me to get out of it. So he comes along, step 1, step 2, step 3, boom, it's over. And I'm saying, how did he do that? So I'm in love with checking this out. I'm saying, man, look at this. Okay, so yes, he described it. He had a family, but it registered and it didn't register. So here's one calling him, saying, Father, I need your help. I want you with me. I understand what you were speaking of before. I need you to teach me. I'm willing now to accept what you have to say. All right, well, here's the next hint and clue. So in December, right around Christmas of 1984, we're heading to Chicago. So when we arrived there, here comes the second oldest daughter down the steps. I can still picture it in my mind. This is 84, and that was how many years are we talking about? 17 years ago. 17 years ago. And she jumps into his arms, kissing him. You know how mother kisses him? She's been doing that for a long time. And I'm staring at this, our eyes meet. I'm staring at her, and she's staring back at me. I said, man. Shook it off. And she invited us up to the apartment. And she was so happy to see her father. At the time, she gave the okay. The whole family came up. Now, I didn't know that I was looking at my future wife. However, Allah did. Because as we stood and gazed at each other, and when he saw that I had stopped the gazing and had shook it off and turned around and was about to, just wait until the next activity was about to take place, he chuckled. He laughed. That's what he did. You may think in your mind, Taboo, but I know different, which is what he was sharing with me. So the 4 holy boys, my daughter from my first marriage, and my son from the first marriage all went to Chicago. Okay, this was the next person that we had to deal with, so to speak, with the new knowledge, because she was the next one in line that had to be prepared to do what she had to do. Now, notice that Mother's been on the scene for quite some time now, is that right? She just didn't pop up either. All of us, everybody has their own history as to what they go through to prepare themselves or finally get to the point that they say, hey, all right, I give up. The way that I'm doing it is not going to happen. Help. When you call on God for help and he shows up, all right. So now he has a willing subject or a participant. Is that right? And the road is much smoother. So Mother, or Maureen, or Mother as we know her, was the next part of the phase of the development of the foundation. Also, this was December 1984. Now keep in mind, what I'm doing at this time, I'm traveling just like we're doing now. However, the difference between now and then was that I was also working, because I was doing all the funding for every motion that we took. I wanted Allah to be completely free. So when I offered, I said, hey, if there's anything that I can do, let me know. Let me know. Okay, yes, sir. All right, well, here's the plan. Okay, so I financed every place that we were. Up in the Holy Mountain with the 4 holy boys, and my daughter and the woman at the time named Miranda that Father was sharing the knowledge with and preparing her for the future, which is now, so that she can be one of the rulers that are in the South. Not so much a ruler, but one that is going to express what this idea is about in the South. Okay? So all of us, we moved them to Chicago. Now, I went back to work. And whatever they needed, the food, the clothes, gasoline for transportation, everything, I provided. It was like I would be into that particular situation or circumstance where we were into at the time. I would take pictures and then go back to work. The next phase, I would do the same thing. I'm in, take pictures, and back to work. All the time, as I review it now and remember, this is the way that I was being taught. So everything that I saw, all I had to do was to remember, and remember how it was done. That in turn shared with me what was taking place. Okay? So from December of 1984 until June of 1985, almost 7 months, Father had the 4 holy boys with him, my daughter from the first marriage, his daughter now, and the brother that she was with at the time. He was teaching all of them. And a woman's motion, a woman is always attracted to a man's motion. If he's in motion to the point where she's attracted to it, she likes what he's doing, and she wants to give him a hand, then brothers, if that's what's taking place, and if your motion is weak, then you're going to lose the one that you got. So this is what took place. Father just allowed her to see the motion that I was in, and the motion that she was with at the time, what he was in. Okay? And 7 months later, she realized it was no contest. Just that simple, no contest. So, in June of 1985, we had gotten the house back in Waldorf that Allah was staying in. I shared with you in the beginning, we were in the same community, only we were just 4 or 5 blocks apart. Okay, we got that same house back, all right? And we moved. Look how the family's growing now. We still got the 4 holy boys with us. They came. And also, Mother's 2 sisters came, Naima and Fatima. Okay? They were the next ones to be given the knowledge of what they had to do to prepare them for this time. Now, it wasn't much for Naima. You know, she was here for just a little bit. And what she took in, being of the new, it didn't take that much. You know, it's already planted in her. And when Allah calls for it to come out, she's got to give it up. She's got to come forth and perform what she's here to do. So from 1985, as a matter of fact, June 21st, when we moved into the house in Waldorf, there was a spectacular event that took place. Now listen to this lineup, or the ones that actually showed up at this house on this particular time, or at this particular time. You had the new Allah. You had the original Allah. You had myself. You had Mother. And you had the new Allah's twin, all in the same place at the same time on this particular day of June 21st, 1985. That's the one and only time that we've all been together. Of course, coming up in the very near future, we will be together a lot more. So that was a very special occasion by us moving there. And June 21st, 1985, the signs and the hints and the clues showed us that the one that was being taught from the south, it was time for her to go. Now keep in mind, everybody that hears this righteousness that is being spoken of, or the building of the righteous kingdom, you make one or two choices. You either accept it at the time, or you leave it alone. There are some that rebel. I should say there are three things. If you don't accept it, and you don't leave it alone, then you try to figure out a way as to how to use it to benefit you. And you're always going to fail. You're going to fail no matter, you're going to fail. So the one that was being taught that lived in the south, it was time for her to go. All right? So Allah planned the trip for myself and his daughter to go together in returning her to the south. Okay? And at the time, you know, we were just going to South Carolina. We were in Maryland. And I said, I wonder why he said that, you know, well, you and Maureen go. And, you know, the question came up, and of course, I almost immediately said, I'm not even going to think about it. And she's going. So we returned her to South Carolina. And on the way back, now this is all set up by Allah, the two of us merged as being one. All right? So when we got back to Waldorf, you know, we shared, because I was a little scared. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, because, you know, Father had shared with me that she had been promised to someone else. I didn't know at the time, hey, look, if you don't accept the gift, then Allah takes it away from you and gives it to someone else. However, I didn't have the understanding at the time when we merged, so I was a little shaky, you know what I'm saying? So when we got back and I shared with him what had taken place, he said, oh. He said, well, is she what you want? I said, yes, sir. And she was asked the same question, you know, it was shared with her, well, you know now there's going to be brothers that are going to be a lot taller and more handsome than the one that you have here now. You know, so are you sure you want to be with him? And the answer that she gave, she said, yes, sir, Father. She said, for the first time, I can say that I'm in love with someone because of who they are and what they're representing. The idea of the truth that they love. She said, for the first time, I'm in love with that. And of course, the person that is actually expressing it. Well, I said, oh, okay. Well, that'll take you a long ways. So we were merged. This is June 28th. I can give you the dates because they're etched in my mind because they're major events in my mind. Okay, and the people that we were dealing with. Right? Now, this was the forming of the family. So when we merged, Allah stayed with us to make sure that the marriage worked. And here's the reason why. It's very important. At the time, I didn't have my entity. Okay, I didn't have my entity at the time. So in the marriage and what was developing, I was supplying the physical needs of everything that was needed, whether it was food, clothing, shelter, transportation, whatever. I was supplying all of it. Okay? And Allah was supplying the spiritual and the mental, because I wasn't complete in that area by not having an entity. Y'all with me so far? I hope I'm not confusing you. Okay, very good. So then from that time up until now, the family grew very rapidly, very, very rapidly, with mother being from Allah himself. She's a very beautiful, a very strong woman, and when she said in the son, yes, this is the role that I will take by coming here and helping to bring this new idea into expression, I'll take it on. So when she agreed to it in the son, she hasn't let up here. You know, she's not going to, because she loves the truth. So this is something that really, really, really makes me happy. So they're progressing. The family grew very rapidly up until the time from 1985 to 1990. It's 5 years, is that right? And in that particular period, my first daughter, which is Maisha, she's with me today. She made the trip from Kansas City, or heaven. She was number one, then Mariah in 1987, and then in 1988 was Tony Antoinette, or Maureen. She has mother's same name, Maureen Antoinette, and we call her Tony. 1988 in December, and then in 1989, there wasn't anyone. Then in 1990, oh wait a minute, is that right? Yes, 1990, July, Amira was born. So in 5 years, did I name four? I named four girls, right? They were born in 5 years. All setting the stage for the four major wives that were coming of Allah's. And they were representatives of the wives that he was going to have. This is why the children were being born so rapidly, because the wives were coming. Keep in mind that the foundation had to be built. Okay? And right now, they're practically running everything. If it wasn't, well, I won't say that. I will say this. They are practically running everything. Okay? Because the brothers were still in the process of waking up. But let me continue on. So in 1990, my entity returned. And keep in mind now, I'm still furnishing all of the financial needs that this base need to be set. All right? So I'm into the devil's world, out of it on the 2 days sometimes that I had off. Okay? And into the kingdom of righteousness. So I'm back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This went on for a long period of time. From the time that we met, and I offered my assistance right on up until Allah freed me in 1997. I haven't been to work for the devil since. All right? So then, when my entity returned, September 28th, 1990, all right, keep in mind now, I'm 1 year old now, 1990. At this point here, as I'm standing here, I'm 11. No, I'm 10. I'll be 11 in September. Okay? So, well, let me get back. Once the entity returned, now that's the part of the new Allah that is in me now. Okay? So that's the part that I had to learn to develop. And these adjustments and transitions just don't happen overnight. Okay? If you've been, well, I must say that I was pampered. You know, the years that I was supplying the financial need, I must say that I was pampered, because I'd almost had forgotten how to raise the hood on a car. You know, Allah took care of everything. Fixed the cars. I mean, they did everything. I just provided finances. I was in and out, you know, on the trips. The family was growing in size until after my entity returned, and then the visitation with Minister Lewis in Chicago. I covered all that in Atlanta. If you have the tape and if you heard it, You understand what I'm speaking of? When we relieved Minister Farrakhan. Now, all these things that happen in the background, the people don't know about. Okay? What they see now on the internet is the United Nation of Islam. All right? And they see farmland, they see trucks, they see buses, they see tractors and tractor and trailer, they see farm equipment, they see businesses. And we say, well, wait a minute, what's going on? Where do they come from? All this happening in 5.5 years. How did they do that? You know, the base was so solid, and what I'm getting you familiar with now is how we did it. As I was sharing, once the base is set, once the foundation is set, the house can go up quickly. Very, very quickly. Okay? And this is what you are witnessing now. The base is solid. The foundation is set. And this is how Allah and myself did it. This is what I'm sharing with you. So from 1990, 1991, we started more activities. I'll also share with you about Alvin Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan's brother, our dealings with him, how he was so far behind in house payments, 5 months behind. Turn electricity back on, water, heat. Okay. However, in the process of us doing that, here again, reading the signs, we had already moved my family to Chicago while these things were in motion, as far as turning the heat on and repairing the water supply, catching up on his house notes, all these things. You know, I didn't actually do those things first and then move my family. The family was moved first, and then these things was done after they had moved. All right, so just something to make you aware of what was taking place. However, when the time shares that it's time for you to do something, you have to do it. Because if you don't, then you're listening to the second thought. And the second thought is always Satan. Okay, now I'll get into that just briefly in a little bit. So in dealing with Alvin Farrakhan, we had a direct line then to Lewis, Minister Lewis. However, he never took us as being anything of a threat, so to speak. Yes, he did. He did it because he kept everyone away from us. You know, don't go there. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to his tapes. None of that. He saw us as a big threat. So what we did in reading the signs and the hints and clues that were given, we just noticed that it was time to just leave him alone. Let him play himself out. Our attention now was focused more on the family, the royal family that was being structured as they were coming together. So more emphasis was being placed on them and teaching them in the spiritual way of this kingdom of righteousness and how they must conduct themselves, because one day, you know, they're going to be doing the same thing that Allah is doing. All right, so the emphasis then turned to the family. So 1992, 93, and then 94, I think Mother stepped on the scene. You know, she had a dream that, in the dream, it was shared with her that she had a job to do, and she had to be just like her father, the new Allah. So preparation went in that to prepare her for that to actually be that. And she has been. And the first business that we had was the diner in Kansas City in 1995. Is that right? So then we had the physical evidence of what had taken place spiritually and mentally. We were now ready for the workshop, the actual real-life running of the business or the activity or the duty of running a business that is going to teach us to constantly think and be right all the time. This is the way that all the businesses are set up to achieve and to do. There are practice fields for those who want to be right. And that's why we grew so fast. Because there, this place that I'm speaking of, which is heaven as we call it in Kansas City, you don't have to worry about food, clothing, and shelter. Your concern is the emphasis and the amount of will and the amount of force you put behind your will to be right. And believe me, it may sound like something simple, but that is the hardest thing that you will ever encounter on this planet at this particular time, is being right consistently. All right? So that's the way that it's set up. So then, the promise that was given, money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life, peace of mind and contentment. Now, this is my second tour of duty. Should not the promise be fulfilled with me first, since I am the example? Well, then that is exactly what's taking place. Nobody is going to jump ahead of me, because the ones that are here of the 144,000, yes, they're practicing and they're doing. And every day they're learning more and more and more as to how to be right. All right? That is what is expected of you. However, you're just a handful. What was promised was the 144,000. Where are they? What are they waiting for? Well, I think they're waiting for me. Well, I'm standing up and I'm sharing with you that I am the king, I'm Elijah returned, and that I shared with you before I left, after me comes Allah himself. Well, then he's here. Now, if you do not come and partake of your second tour of duty, that promise will not be given to you, or it will not be fulfilled. It's just that simple. Now, we're not begging you. We're just showing you where the light is. If you're saying, well, I don't accept it and leave it alone, fine. You're not one of the 144,000. But those of you that hear this tape, I'm sharing with you to check us out. If you want to be right, you have a vast amount of knowledge, however, you don't know what to do with it. And you can only learn what to do with it under the umbrella of the United Nation of Islam. If it's not here, whatever you're into, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And I'm going to share with you a very, very short story as to how, if you don't pay attention, or if you're not aware of even the smallest things, it can shut you down. You want to hear this story? Now, some of you may or may not know, at one time, I was employed by a major newspaper as an industrial electrician. Okay? And here's an account of one of the things that made me aware of how one little small thing was overlooked, and it shut a whole press down for quite a period of time. And these people, and their money making, they can't allow those type of things to happen. However, the problem was so diverse that it took a while to find it. Now, I'm going to try to give you a description of what took place. Are you with me now so far? Have any of you ever visited a newspaper plant? One, two, okay, I see some hands going up. So then if you can follow me. The big reels that holds the rolls of newsprint itself? Usually it's situated down in the basement, because it runs from the basement up through the unit where the impression from the plates is imprinted on the paper, and then is sent to another unit, and then finally ends up in the folder, and then it's, how can I say it? The folder actually takes all those webs, all the webs run into the folder. It actually takes them, cuts them, and puts them in chronological order, section by section, A section first, B, and the proper page number, A1, B1, right on through the whole paper, okay? So the problem occurred in what we call the reel room, where these big reels hold these big rolls of paper, okay? And what drove the reel, in other words, you could take and hit a button and you can position the reel. You could bring it out, which we call forward, or you could take it back, which we call reverse, okay? So now, I was employed at the time that this particular printing press was installed in 1972. Matter of fact, I was one of the saw to it, actually, that the installation went along properly. Now, what developed? The problem developed this way. As the operator would jog the reel to position it to accept these big rolls, Okay? It would work fine in one direction, forward. But whenever he would do it in reverse, it would always trip out, what we call trip the overload. In other words, it was carrying an excessive load, and it's designed as a safety feature to not to burn the motor up. We have a thermal element that just opens up and drops out the circuitry. You can't do anything until you reset it. All right? Now, at the time, I was working Tuesday through Saturdays on the day shift. And the day shift usually didn't run into a press run from Tuesday through Friday. However, we always had a Saturday day run because the Sunday's newspaper was so large, you couldn't run all of the Sunday's paper on Saturday night. Okay, so that gave me one day out of the week where I could watch all the presses run, and all the problems that they didn't catch or could solve at night was left for me on Saturday day. So they had a whole week with this problem. They ended up changing out the motor, and then they were talking about maybe some gears that chipped inside the reel arms and all the rest of this. I said, all right, well, we'll just leave it for Joe Kelly Saturday. All right, so I go out, and I stand there and monitor it. And since they'd already changed out the motor, found out that wasn't a problem. Now, all the controllers, for these particular spider arms are up in the air. They're in control panels, about this long, about this deep, okay? And the doors, you unlatch them and they swing down, and everything is in there for this one particular reel stand, as we call them. All right? The way these were built, you had a starter out front for the forward rotation. However, the starter for the reverse rotation was mounted, forgive me for saying this, but piggyback, back to back, okay? And the reverse side was up against the wall of the panel, the back side of the panel. All right? So as the day progressed, and as I observed the operators make the problem occur, since they had already done some things, and I realized, I said, dang, that thing has got to be up there in the control panel. So I had to wait. I had to babysit this one particular unit. In other words, each time it tripped out, I had to go and reset it until the run was off. And I had to actually take both of the starters out. And these are huge. They weighed about 20 pounds. Okay, and we're talking about technology back in the 70s. Okay? So I took it out, took it into the shop, and started looking at it. And you want to know what I found? The problem that was shutting this press down and causing them to lose so much money only cost about 10 cents. Okay? It was a piece of copper wire, 12 gauge, okay, 3 inches long. Now here's what happened. Whoever put this one together at the factory, it must have been an electrician, because we use our side cutters for everything. If you know electricians, they have what's called side cutters. That has a cutter on the side, and you strip insulation with it, you cut wire with it, you use it for a hammer, you do everything with it. Okay? So this person used it to strip this 3-inch piece of wire that I'm speaking of. All right? And all you do was take it and crimp the wire all the way around to cut the insulation, and then you put your pliers on it and pull the insulation off. You got bare wire there. All right? Well, in the process of him doing that, or her, I don't know who, they put a crimp, just a small slice, into that number 12 gauge copper wire. And inadvertently, what they had done, they made a time delay fuse that took 20 years to open. So the press was installed in 1972. This problem occurred in 1992. All right? So keep in mind, the point that I'm making here is this. If you're not taught or made aware of how to do things right, that little small thing is going to shut you down every time. Without fail, it's going to happen. And the only way that you're going to learn how to be right and constantly be aware that there is this second force at this time that comes up and wants to stop you is the United Nation of Islam. If you're not here, then you're not going to be successful. Just that simple. Now, if you were to realize that this is happening in this man's whole system, of all the high technology that he has, he will not use it to design an almost perfect machine. Why? Because he would lose money. So he always designed the problems right into the equipment. This is, so to say, what they say, as the saying goes, is what makes the world go round. However, you have people like myself that are tired of doing the repair work. You know, every time you turn around, you backlog, hey man, this broke down, oh, that broke down. You get to the hell with it. Somebody has got, we're calling on God. Somebody's got to do something, make a piece of equipment that's going to last. Okay? Well, this is an example of the old idea that's going out and the new one that's coming in under the umbrella of the United Nation of Islam. Nowhere else. We have the right to do what we're doing because the time is up for wrong. That's what gives us the authority and the power to do what we're doing. So now, I have expressed this to you. I hope that sharing with you some of the background as to how we developed and what has taken place up until this point, where the foundation was set, and then all the things that were happening in the spiritual and the mental, you are now seeing the physical evidence of it in what we have today. What the things that I had mentioned to you, the farmland, the businesses, the UNOI transportation, and the freedom. You know, you out there of the 144,000 that will hear this tape, if you think that you're free, you're not. If you're going to bed at night thinking about how you're going to pay the next month's rent, or if you're paying taxes, or if you're paying car insurance, you are not free. There's only one place that you're going to be totally free, and that is under the UNOI's umbrella. No other place. I mean, without residue. You know what I mean by that? Somewhere along the line where you have to answer to our open enemy. Yeah, but if you want to, you'd never see one again in heaven. Or under our umbrella, yes ma'am. I love that laugh. You would never see one again if you didn't want to. So then I hope that I have given you an idea as to the importance of the time and what has to be done. Now, as the Secretary stated 2 more times, I'll be speaking here. Then after that, forget it. This landmass is going back where we took it. Where we took it from and brought it here. It's going back. It's just that simple. It has done what it's supposed to do and has done it well. So 2 more times. So at this particular time, I had mentioned about the want Adam as far as the original Allah. That's what he was, the one Adam, creating himself out of total triple darkness. Now, we progressed all the way now to the point where we've had the splitting of the atom, where we have one on the scene now that is totally positive and one on the scene now that is totally negative. We have done this in the human form. And the one we know today as Solomon, the new Allah in person, is the embodiment of that positive, all positive atom. So at this particular time, it gives me great, great, great pleasure to bring him before you. As I said before I left, as Elijah after me comes Allah himself. Well, I'm here to confirm who he is and what is. And I'm saying that this one now, that is coming after me to speak, is the new Allah. So if you all will rise and welcome him that is taking us here into the hereafter, style as Solomon, named Royall, the new Allah in person. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. You all may be seated. That was rather explicit. If you all that are part of the 144,000 on the first, remember your lessons that thorough. You won't take very long coming with us. In other words, from what I got that took place, and what he explained, there's been a process. It's evidence that what the messenger said is true. We will grow into this newness. So we've had quite a bit of growth, and we're sharing it now with you. I'm not going to go into no long explanation of anything. I won't take your time up. However, I will open the floor for questions if you have any. I do want to express this, however. The union that has developed between the king and myself is something that's almost unexplainable. You know, it's just like it is. And anything that comes to enhance it, it's automatically justified. Anything that comes against it automatically loses. And this is something the black man, period, must come to grips with. If we're going to be one, we really have to be one. And what's going to make us be one, you got to operate on the same thing everyone is operating on. And what's going to make you successful, the one thing that you're operating on, has to be true in a mathematical way. That's it. You know, the king shared some things that we've gone through. And in our growth, there were tears, a lot of laughter, a lot of that. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of that. He provided the homes and paid for everything, and I wouldn't allow him to give us really any comfort, because comfort brings about laziness. So our first home that he put us in, I wouldn't allow him to put no furniture in it. We got blow-up mattresses, or blow-up, we use it as mattresses, what you take to the beach and you swim on, or lay in the water with. We use that as our mattress. We blow it up, sleep on it, get up, let it down. However, if you rode by and looked at the house, oh, that's a nice looking house. I know they're doing well. We were. However, we were in preparation. So now today the king can come before you as the king. Not because I said so. He knows it because he's living it. And the scientists, which I very rarely speak about in this manner, they're so fond of us. Because it's like a father that has waited 10, 15 years for his son become mature enough where he can actually relate to him in an intelligent, manly, progressive way. Now we've gone through certain things and they made sure that we did go through it. Now we can dialogue with them and they with us physically, instead of just through science and the use of science. Are you keeping up? Hope you're not sleeping. Because this is really what's happening. And every one of you all that think you know, there's many things that you know until you actually experience it. That's all you do is know it. You don't understand it. once you start living it and going through it, understanding starts to show. Oh, that's what this means. When you start going through the O's, then you know you're coming home. And that hasn't happened with the black man yet. You know, you've studied the lessons and, you know, did everything. You know, turned it upside down, inside out. You know, did everything with it. However, you've not allowed it to do anything with you. If so, we wouldn't be making the appeal to you now. So there's a little time. I've been speaking now for some time, and the messenger hasn't. He's been very dutiful as making sure that we could actually do this for you. However, the turnout or the interest that you would have in your or for your own life seems to be very nil. It's like you really don't care. If white folks is not going to get better and treat you right, well, the hell with life, you're not going to do no better either. That's a terrible situation. And if white folks accept this, then you'll accept it. If they reject it, well, then there's nothing that Royall or Solomon or anybody else can do with this man. That's not what the lessons read. The messenger's back now. He's updated in his spirit, his entity, his knowledge, his awareness. He's in time. So he came for you, whether you come or not. The place is already made for him. Already made. And he has earned it. He has earned it. I hope you understand. Well, there's something I want to speak, just say briefly about. Because this is being done every time I go to a place, every time someone mentions my name. There's always a flood of negative that we have to hear coming from those that don't like the idea. However, you know, usually a man might not say too much to you if you're talking about him, right to him. However, if you go and start some type of campaign against his wife or his children, that's a different situation. You will get killed quicker doing that than coming directly to him. Well, since the king explained some of the things that he's going through, and it may have seemed detailed to you. However, since I was right there, it was very shallow, what he explained. However, it's enough. With you all, it may have been too much. You might have started going to sleep. Since I know what happened and what we did, when we bring him here before you and allow him to extend the invitation, and you call us up on the phone, on the 800 number that we are paying for, we're going to pay you to cuss us out? This is what has been happening. Before we come in here, the brothers go out, pass out the flyers. Some they mail to people that should know. Then the brother calls up and calls us everything but the child of God. Well, when it was just me, fine. There may be no difference. When you bring my wife involved, and if you have the nerve to tell us, then you must be telling other people also. If you keep your nasty tongue to yourself, and that's all, fine. But if you're going to wag it to bring about some type of doubt or a window of disbelief to someone that's looking for the truth, then you have stepped into the zone where I reside. I hope you listen. And it is also written, it's not a secret, that I will get you. And the fun part about it to me is you never know when it's coming. You never know. In other words, there is no way to avert it. No possible way unless you change and ask for forgiveness of what you've done. Then it can be canceled. Ignorance is no excuse for the law. Even white folks tell you that. Well, officer, I didn't see the light. I really didn't see the light. Well, I understand. He understands, but you still got the ticket. I hope you all understand. I hope you really understand. And for anyone, now I'm saying this for your well-being. If you're not saying that you God. Very good. You may say that you are a God, but you're not saying that you are Allah. That's very good. I am. It's good that you know that you're not. If you're going to go ahead and express in such a manner that you know that I'm not, then call me out of my name, call the messenger out of his name, and got the nerve to say, well, I told the nigger to his face. I'm saying that you better stop this. You better stop this. As soon as you hear this tape, or as soon as someone tell you, you better stop it. And there's one brother, Brother Robert Adex. I'm going to visit him. And those that know him, you're going to see him come into some difficulty. I'm calling his name because I want him to see. And no one that's with me help him. If you do, I'm going to give it to you what I'm giving him twice. I hope you understand. This one particular brother, he want to think that I'm CIA, Abbas Rasul is FBI, and doing what I'm doing. I don't even know how to spell FBI, let alone be one. I would be completely crazy to give up the position or the duty of being God, the supreme being, to be a damn agent. And what would I be an agent for? To tell on you? You ain't doing nothing. If you come before the judge asks me, well, why you bring them up here? They're in it. They haven't done anything. If there's going to be an agent, I would say it has to be him telling the government what I'm doing, because he ain't doing a damn thing. Are you listening? That's how, ignorance to that degree is repulsive, especially after you have been taught or you came and gravitated to the messenger and the message. You still got the literature. So you can't give no excuse that I forgot you got all 5 books. Read it. And plus you got the lessons. So what is it that I'm doing, or the messenger, or the royal family, since my name is Royal? Well, why not the family be called the royal family? Since if you are Muslim, under the teachings of the messenger, your duty is to teach the knowledge and wisdom of the human family of the planet Earth. What more family better name can be taken on as royal? Not in the English version. Nobody there was named Royal. Royal in that term means the family of law. I am the lawman. So everything I produce, I make sure its activity is within the law. So it is the royal family. And I'm very, very generous. There's nothing you can think of, whether it be male or female, that's going to be able to do anything to the least of me or mine. If you come against my baby that's not even walking yet, you're going to lose. You know why? Because there are those that you don't see. Just like white folks. They be taking your pictures every day when you don't know it. Because you don't see them, but they see you. So if you go to do something to the royal family, we don't have to be there watching. Like, we may watch them that they don't fall down the steps and break their neck. And they constantly fall, but nobody's neck ever gets broke. You understand what's being said? So the few of you that showed up, and some I brought, at least there are enough of you that I can pour blessings out to. However, for you to receive the blessings and make it work for you, you have to be in agreement with it. You have to use it in the way it is designed. Not out of its design because it won't work for you. You got that? As long as just me, I don't have no fear. I have not as of yet made the king totally negative free. I haven't done that yet. So some things that you do, it possibly can make him feel uncomfortable or hurt him. And you know, with the children that I've been raising, especially the one that has tend to balance the ten of mine that is fire from the sun, was very adamant with their mother. And I made it crystal clear to them, you don't do that and think you're going to live. That just don't happen. You know, she don't belong to you. She is for you to utilize and giving you life. In teaching and training you and making sure you're healthy so you can live. Teach you so you can start understanding things and converse with your father, her husband, so you can live. Now, for you to make it an about faith and approach her in such a manner where you're really willing or even have the idea of taking her life, you got to be insane. Well, it's crystal clear in the book or the Bible concerning Elijah or the king. He was standing on the moon, clothed in the sun. That's me. 12 stars around him, around his head. The scientist. So if we revere this man in such manner, what makes you think that we're going to let you just say or do anything? Even suggest it. Now, those that are not doing that, I'm not talking to you. That's fine. You're not doing it? Fine, I'm glad. I'm happy. I'm joyous. But those that have an opportunity to actually be in such splendor, this is your opportunity to see what you're doing. There's got to be an end to wrong. There's got to be, there must be, and there is going to be. Now, if you're not in agreement with it, then if you're wrong, this means when wrong is gone, you're gone. You got that? So regardless of what you think in your mind concerning me, fine. When it deals with the family that has already suffered for you in your ignorance, that won't be tolerated. Is that clear? All right, well, I won't go into anything else. Anybody got any questions? If you do, where's the mic? Is the mic here? And for the sisters, there's one on this side here. I hope you all, you're not frightened, are you? I'm not going to do this for you today unless you come up and do something to me. You know, I want everyone to see, or let me put it this way, it is very necessary. Are you listening? It is very necessary for you to be able to document what I'm saying and doing. So if I call your name for righteousness, It can be documented. Because what I say is going to happen to or for you is going to happen. And you can go back, listen to the tape, and say, he said it. So if I call your name and I'm going to do something to you or cause you to come into the understanding of what you're doing that's an irritant, and I call your name, it's not that I'm upset or angry with you. It's just that I got to make sure that you clearly understand that you got to get in step with the rest of the band. At least you're going to have your feet cut off at the ankle. You understand? So when I call your name, it's not that I'm boasting. However, it's going to get to the point when I'm saying, look, it's time for you to leave California on so-and-so date. It's leaving. And when you leave and it leaves, then you say, well, he said it. And every time you say that, that's saying the man got to be God. The same way that we gave you the example of Muhammad Ali. In the 9th round or 2nd round or 3rd round, he had it all rhymed up, but he did it. You remember? Well, he got it from me. You know, that was some real, I don't know how many of you brothers really, even those of you that are married, really had a joyous union in the process of merging together. And what I say real is, although you may have had a honeymoon and so forth, however, to really be involved, intertwined in what each other is doing, and see how each other grows. Because most brothers think, well, the woman's coming to be with me, and I'm already grown. So she'll just do what I say. Nah, we're going to have problems. Because once they come with you and they're really with you, this is something you have not experienced. So you can't say, I know. You say, well, I'm in a position to learn something that's very favorable to me. Let me see what works, what don't work. Let me see what will cause the growth to grow faster or just maintain and stay at this level. If you say, I got to see, it means you don't know. And if you see in a positive, righteous spirit, that's a tremendous union. There will be nothing that will be able to be formed that will come between you and break it up. No other man can come in and break that up. No other sister can come in and break it up. Because it's like one. There's nothing to break up. Well, that's the king and myself. I have to have one myself for me. I get it first. And this is what has happened, what he said, over the 15 or 17 years that we've been physically in contact with each other, and I teaching him how to be the king. And you know, most of the time, are you listening? Most of the time, when you're into a difficulty, whether it's spiritual or not, whether you're in the church or not, you never know, even if it's a dream. You never get to the end of it and find out what it means until it is at the end. You're never told what the end is at the beginning. In other words, when we were brought over here, or even into Africa, from the tribe of Shabazz, they didn't say, well, look, we're going to make a new people, and we're going to be in North America, and we're going under hell, and then we're going to come out, and we're going to be in town, we're going to do this and this. It wasn't told to you like that. You got into it, and you started losing knowledge, broke up into tribes and tribes and tribes. Then, Mr. Hawkins brought you over here. Then when you got here, you wanted to go back home. If you already knew, if the ones were going through it, if they knew already, they would just say, well, this was supposed to happen, so we will go through it. It wasn't that way. They was constantly trying to figure out how to get back. They couldn't. You understand what's being said here? So, you know, I didn't tell the king. I just told him the meaning of his name. At the time, his name was Kelly. Whatever will he had, it meant that it was to lay still. dormant. Do not resist anything that I do. And that's exactly what he did. Until it got time for the updated entity of Elijah to take root. Then he started to develop his will. And then developing it, I was teaching and training and carrying him with me. And don't say this hasn't been done before. When you read about Jesus, there he is. He was here 2,000 years ago, the same entity. They say, well, Jesus is going to return. Yes, he most certainly is. And he has done it. Elijah, same entity back again. How many times have you all been here? You might say, well, man, I don't know how many times, but it really don't count because I ain't doing nothing. So, how much more do we need to have somebody brought back that is doing something? You got it? All right. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. You may ask a question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Once again, it is a privilege and an honor to be in your presence today. I was here last year at this time, and you assisted me on a problem, and it worked out just as you said. And I just wanted to thank you at this time for giving me the royal advice. Also, I'm in the church. Did you want members in the church, the Christian religion, to get out of that or to stay in that?
Well, out of the theology of it, yes, sir. They don't have to come out of the church as long as the minister or the pastor of the church is teaching them in a way where it's today. If they take that mystery out of it, fine, that's all it has to be. You know, you can't make a person do right or wrong. However, if you know the truth, it is your duty to share the truth, and then what they do with it, then they are held accountable to them and their Lord. So I'm not saying come out of the church. However, the doctrine of what the Christians say that took place and what you got to do and how to look for Jesus Christ and everything, yes, that's false. And if they maintain that, they're going to lose. You know, I'm the supreme being. And every time I come to California, the pastor here has made me welcome. And he did it for some type of credibility or whatever he's done it for, fine. I still want to reward that. But the idea of the Christians, the way they see it, and what you see all this here on the walls and whatnot, no, sir.
Yes, well, I understand that. Yes, sir. I think it's very difficult to just make a transition overnight because when you look at the documentation, the education that's done in that field, it's just extremely, I think it's a drastic change, you know, just to go from one point of view to the next. Lastly, I would like to know what my daughter's name is, Shamari.
Your daughter?
Yes.
And her name is what?
Shamari.
Shamari?
Shamari.
A protected one. A one that is shielded.
Thank you, Father.
You understand? You understand?
Partly. Could you expound on it?
Other words, she's an individual that, whether it be you, when she gets married to her husband, she's always going to be protected. You understand?
Yes. In that you're saying like she has a veil that covers her. She won't go to the extreme. Yes.
Yes, sir. I won't say she has a veil in that sense, like we are protecting her in the unseen. Everything is being done in the three attributes: spiritual, mental, and physical. So it's happening in all three levels. So I don't know how old she is.
She's currently about a month and a half.
Well, yes, sir. So she's protected. You know,
and my final question is, I have many jobs, many different responsibilities, One of them, I'm a realtor right now. Do you think that I should pursue that?
Well, yes, sir. If that's what you're doing, that causes you to be happy, and if you're able to see God that way, well, yes, sir. It's just that when it gets to the point where if you're a realtor here in California, well, stick close to the Muslims, so when you see them disappearing, you go with them and bring your daughter.
Okay. Thank you, Father, and you keep up the good work.
Yes,
once
sir.
again, we thank you for coming out.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. For those of you all that are Christians that are here, what the brother just expressed, it is difficult to make an immediate transformation. I don't look for it to take place that way. What we have done, or I, have created a brain. Only thing I ask you to do is use it. Stop living in a world where there's more questions than there are answers. Get away from that. And as far as everything that has been documented in Christianity, that don't have nothing to do with creation. This man's history that you read, regardless of what it is in religion or whatever it is, religion. This is what he has done with creation. Not that it has anything to do with it. So he has when it comes to me, I can point to him and say, you misled everyone, almost the whole world, you misled them. Here is your living history that you've done so. There's no way you can escape it. I know because I'm catching hell delivering the truth. The people that you've dealt with, when I share the truth with them it seems more like it is a lie. The lie that you have fed them, to them seems like the truth. So I must destroy you. And all that clings to you and will not let you go, got to go. So it would be intelligent for the Christian, Buddhist, or whoever to come the one way, the one way. And it's not a religion. It's peace and peaceful. It is called at this time Islam because it is IS. As long as you can live, it is. And the only thing is the reality is God Himself. So you would be very unwise to continue to stay on a path that has no end when it comes to truth. You can never find it. So I encourage, and I'm putting things in the atmosphere every day. Every day. And what's coming into the atmosphere is like the rays from the sun. Everything that was comfortable in the dark, now as time and the clock ticks, they're becoming more and more uncomfortable because it's getting lighter and lighter. So what I'm putting in the atmosphere is for you to see what you have been participating in is brought you to nothing, and it has held you there. So now when you say, well, I pray to Jesus and Jesus loves me, and you sing the song and you get on your knees and you say the prayer. However, the man that you know is the enemy sends you blackout, brownout, raise the gas up $2 something a gallon, cut you off welfare or cut it down. But Jesus, where is He? So you're in a perpetual state of misery and accepting it when light is here, freedom is here. And I'm sending that every day, every day. After a while, you're going to say, look, I don't know about Jesus. I don't know about anybody else. I'm going to check that Solomon out. That's what's going to happen. And I know it. I know this to be true because I'm true. When you check me, I don't mean check my look, my height, my suit, or the car. No, none of that. You're going to come and check, say, what is making him happy? Every time I see him, he's just smiling. Every time I see him, he's prosperous. Every time I see him, somebody's around. You know, like it's written in the book. You know, his cupbearers that stood around him constantly. His servants that were around him constantly. All were happy. It wasn't that they were standing there because of a duty and they're tired in their feet. They want to go sit there. It wasn't like that. I was trying to look. Why don't you go someplace? Leave me. Well, I can't. All right. Yes, sir. Oh. Would you let her go first? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
It's very good to see you again.
Thank you.
For the sake of the Christians that are here and to some who may get this tape, you were speaking on Jesus and Christianity. Could you share what happened to Jesus' body? Because a lot of the Christians that I talk to refuse to believe that his body is not coming back. And if you try to share with them that he is dead, the physical Jesus of 2,000 years ago, they refuse to believe it. And so could you speak as to where Jesus' body is?
Well, yes, ma'am. However, the reason why they do this, if they were to accept that before they have an understanding of what really happened or how truth really works, they would lose their reason for life. They would have no incentive to live. You mean to tell me Jesus is not coming back? And they don't understand that the real Jesus is with me? It's like, I don't want to hear that. Because without Jesus, child, I don't know what I would do. It's all in their mind because they don't have Jesus. It's just in their mind.
Yes, sir.
So to show you how powerful the mind is, just by you conceiving it in your mind and trying to put belief to it, causes you to put up with the misery day after day after day until you die. And when you die, you're still saying, Lord Jesus, I've served my time. Take me home. Still in misery.
Yes, sir.
So that's why they don't. However, we have Jesus' body. Since most people were taught that Jesus is white, and when you come into a certain level of knowledge where you can give the proper respect to knowledge and the author of it, the question about Jesus is answered. You are now allowed to go and view the body. So when you go and see, oh, it's a black man. When you get to that point, you've reached a point in your knowledge where that is not alarming. If you go and see it before that and you see it's black, you say, oh, wait, no, something wrong with this.
Yes.
Jesus is white, blue eyes and long hair. I know it because it's in my church. It's in the Bible, and we were taught this all our life. And when he comes back, he have his body, and we'll feel the pierce in his side, and we'll do all this, and we will know it is Jesus. And we'll see the marks in his hand, and we know because he's coming back. That body shall never return because there is no need for it to return. That would show that God is absolutely weak. He's weak, weak, weak. If my wife gives me a son and something tragically happens to him and he loses his life, I'm not going to go around mourning and carrying on like, well, I'm ready to die. Why did God let that happen? I'm going to say, look, baby, you ready to do it again? I'm missing, but I got to replace him. You ready? Yes, baby. Well, let's get busy. And I'm looking to see him in 9 months now. I'm in a hurry, but I know he ain't going to be here before 9 months. In other words, what I'm saying is, I bring another one. However, let's look at the scheme of things. God isn't just now. Yesterday he wasn't, and tomorrow he has no idea of. He already knew from creation, or when he decided, look, we ourselves, the acting God, the original God said, well, look, I'm gone so I can see what this is. He left. So this allowed this other force or negative to come in and start doing what it's doing. Now he says, well, I'm going to stay away, and I'm going to also allow my people or me to go through this. I'm going to let the devil or Satan have my people. And they said, his people said, yes, I'll go. A whole tribe. It's called Tribe of Shabbat, the 12th, 13th tribe. Yes, I'll go. And we'll go under his foot 400 years. After that, I, the original Allah, with his permission, I, the new God, or the new Allah, will come and get you and bring you back. We already knew this. So what you're going through is step by step in the plan. So we knew you were going to be caught up under Christianity because we gave this man 6,000 years to rule. Then we gave him the story of Jesus, or we gave him the ability to twist people's minds up concerning me by the use of Jesus. Because Jesus was the first one that had any real impact on him. That man, you messing up. You ain't of my Father. My Father is the Creator, and if you don't get it respect, he's going to get you. So he said, oh, yeah? Well, let's turn this thing around. When he comes to get me, he's going to have to get your people too. His own people. Because I'm going to have him twisted up. When you, here I am, a lying person. They're going to say, ha, oh, really? Stone him, get him out of here. He's lost his mind. So the God said, okay, go ahead. But I'm still coming. And I'm still getting the ones that want to be with me. And they're going to be a new people, a new people. The earth is going to be new. All of the old things are going to pass away. Not jump away, pass away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is in the process now of passing away. So you're going to use our own brother, black man, to really come against us. You're going to make us think he's white. But in reality, the one that did everything that you talked about, all half of it lies, was really black.
Yes.
So you got a real good thing going on. You're killing us and mocking us at the same time.
Yes, sir.
However, I, being the supreme being, if all of you go with me, if all go, I know how to bring you back. If not you, I know how to create you all over again. That part he can't do nothing with. So a Christian, if you're really a Christian according to what the word means, fine. A Christian according to religion, you're going to lose. If that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we that are in the knowledge, don't be in a hurry to make nobody change. Just share with them what you know. And if they got any type of wherewithal about themselves, they'll make the change. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
First, I'd like to make a testimony that,
You want to hold it up?
I might go, yeah. I'd like to make a testimony that, I'm very happy to be with you in the United Nations of Islam. And I've been with you approximately 2 years, a little longer. And it's been a struggle, it's a fight, but I'm taking it, I'd say pretty good. I have two things I'd like to ask, a couple more, but one, my birth name was Paul Eugene, and I'd like to know what tribe I might be from.
Tribe are you from?
Yeah.
Well, I'll do this one. However, I'll make this the last one because I didn't make this known. Those type of questions are very personal, and it takes away the attention of the audience. If we stay on questions where the whole audience benefits, then they won't have no excuse to become bored. So you say your name is Paul Eugene?
At birth, yes.
At birth, yes. Paul means one to be seen. One to be seen. And Eugene means an origin of its own. An origin of its own. You don't understand?
Could you explain it, a little bit?
It means that the person is more or less pronounced in what they are. Everything that you do is based on almost what you have thought of or what you hear. It has to fit with your makeup or your origin. You're not real flexible and seeing it from someone else's perspective. You gain the knowledge of what you're hearing and apply it to just how you see it, how it fits with you. So it's like, it's you. It's not us. Did I explain that right? You understand?
Yes, I'll take in the credit.
Yes, sir. Well, I was supposed to answer something else?
Yeah, the tribe.
Oh, the tribe. Well, I'd have to see you from here. You appear to be in the 12th tribe.
I'd like to know also, last time I was here, you said that I had a very strong will. And I was looking at that and going over it in my head. I must be using it real grossly or negatively in some kind of way. I want you to tell me what I could use to work on.
Well, this is what takes place. This is bears witness to what I just said about the definition of your name. Mm-hmm. Your real strong will is because you're taking everything that is, and you are applying the law of motion to it the way that you would have it to go. Mm-hmm. The intelligent man that has a strong will always takes what's coming to him or at him, in a way where he submits. If it's coming at you real strong, you roll with it. And in your roll, you haven't offended it, and you don't allow it to offend you. And while it's going by, whatever truth is in it, you grab it out. And you stand back up. But if you stand there and get it and take blunt, boom, you knocked it aside. Now you're going to express it just the way that you see it. Then most of the time, it comes back at you that you're wrong. So now you're always fighting difficulties that you created, but you don't see how you did it.
Right.
So that's what happens. You have to be, an intelligent man is a very, let's put it this way, a godly man is a man that is very submissive and humble. Because the more knowledge you got and the understanding of the knowledge, it makes you always the winner of whatever you're in, because you don't fight things head on. You don't have to do that. If a fight comes, whatever the fight is, you allow it to come, and you use its own energy against itself. And therefore, you never get hurt. But if you stand there, and you're going to show how strong you is to yourself, and you're going to make it, you end up getting all your teeth knocked out. Just like I said, I know that I know because I've experienced it, and I do understand that I truly am the Supreme Being, the new Allah, the Son of Man, the Man-Child, the Deliverer, the Wonderful Counselor, the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. I am that. However, sometimes you can be real hungry. And the only thing you got in your kitchen or your bread basket is an old dried up biscuit. If you throw it up against the wall, it won't even crack. What the wise man, the foolish man will take and throw it away. What the wise man will do is say, man, I'm certainly hungry. Let me see what I can do with this biscuit. Now he knows if he eats the biscuit when it is fresh or partially old, once you eat it and it goes into your digestive system, it's going to turn back to what it was before it became a biscuit, because of the moisture of the body and the digestive juices that's coming to it. So it says, now the biscuit is old and it's hard. However, it's bread. Even if it's moldy, it's not going to hurt you. So I'm hungry. What should I do? Should I look at it and say, pretty good. I can do better than this. Or should I say, well, look, let me give me a little water. Sprinkle it over it. Maybe put it in a warm or damp cloth. Put it in the microwave or oven and let it heat a little bit. And chomp on it. That's the godly man, the wise man. And at least for 2 or 3 hours, he won't be hungry. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's what God does. And so that's what I'm saying. with what took place with me and the king. He said, Father, I can buy a TV and put, no, sir. We're not going to look at no TV. Well, I can get a bed. No, sir. We're not going to have no bed. Well, just the floor. Well, it's got a carpet on it. When the woman that he was married to came and looked in the house, he said, well, that's all y'all got? You look like you're rich. I said, well, we are. Just ain't got to it yet. However, the man that is not godly would have said, oh, yes, sir. Bring the TV in. Bring in the couch. Bring in the bed. Yes, sir, by all means. But since I knew and know what I'm doing, with me, fine, it has no effect on me. However, if I'm trying to bring you out of stupidity into intelligence, we can't keep using the thing that caused your stupidity. Now, after you get to a point where it has no effect on you, bring it on in. Now we can see what white folks is doing. We can see what the world is doing. And we see it as, oh, look what they're doing. Father, they must have been listening to your tapes. Look what they're saying. But before then, if that was allowing to come in, and I come and say this, say, Father, you looked at TV and got it off that man. It would have been backwards. But I, being God, went on and suffered it. I mean, I didn't say, look, I'm God, so now I got my bed, but you all sleep on the floor. No, I showed them how to do it. Slept on the floor and made it look good. So when they slept on it, they wouldn't get up and say, man, I'm hurting. They got up there. How you feel, Father? Oh, I feel rather godly. How you feel? Oh, pretty good. That's what God does. And knowledge makes you humble. And when someone comes towards you that's going to threaten you, you know how the knowledge automatically comes up how to stop it, how to avert it, send it off. And if it gets down to the real show enough, you don't have to really get in no physical fight. There are certain expressions that can be brought about to your face that will strike terror into your enemy. And you never lift their face. Now, if you want to duke it out, well, get ready for a few bruises. But the other person, they're going to actually be hurt. Actually be hurt. I hope you all understand what I'm saying. That comes with the territory of being God. Not being smart, because being smart, you don't get nothing done. The person says, oh, well, he's real smart, and they leave you alone, and that's it. You have nothing. And what is it about this world? If you had $1 million, what would you do with it? Oh, let's say this. If you had $1 billion, 9 zeros, what would you do with it? I may be able to speak to Luther Vandross while I'm here. If he sees me, I got something very good for him. However, every one of us that so-called have made it, in their making it, they have accepted a system that keeps you away from them. You know why? Because you're ignorant. They're ignorant too. But they don't want to feel guilty in their ignorance. They'd rather you keep them in your mind as they're up there, man, they really made it. They don't want you to come in and see they got more problems than you got. You know, like white folks, they don't want you to come to their house and see how they live. They come to yours to make sure yours is hell, but they don't want you going to theirs. Because you're going to see, man, I thought I was in bad shape. They got this beautiful home. Look at the inside of it. Look what they're doing. You understand? Got it? Something else?
Yes, sir. In my study,
hold your mic up.
In my study, I came, the messenger taught us that we were God, right? So I got to thinking, I said, well, if I'm God, then I can't blame nobody for nothing.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
So that means that everything that happens to us, we have to look and see how we did it in some kind of way. Is that
yes,
correct?
Sir. You got to look to see, you know, if something is happening to you.
Right.
You know, the messenger also put a book out, not a saying, it was, I don't think it was a whole book, it was, say, some literature concerning, you know, reorient your thinking. So whatever situation that you're in, you're supposed to make it. You're supposed to make your own situation, your own circumstances, or be the master of that comes to you. So, if you're going to be God, whatever's coming to you, you're supposed to be able to see the right in it or the wrong and take whatever out of it you like and let the rest go. So, you can't really blame someone else. It's the same thing like with the Christians. I can't blame white folks for what they did. I'm not going to say, well, white folks mess you up. After the truth has came. Because in Christianity, it reads in the Bible, know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It didn't say no Jesus. It didn't say no Christianity. It had nothing like that. It said know the truth. So if I show up being the truth, sharing the truth, and then providing an opportunity for you to participate and live in truth, where's the blame? If you don't do it, you blame yourself. You see? And we can see that by what's happening to the minister. Farrakhan, or no, Lewis. In a hell of a shape. So much so he can't add my name to nothing he's doing. I mean the name of Allah. That's my name, my title. You can't add that, what he's doing and what he's into. You can't add nothing righteous to that. It's just like oil and water. It just is not going to mix. If that is going to take place, there's no way in the world I would want to be with the God that he's with. His top man. And he can go through that. For what? For what? I mean, you know, if there was a logical reason for it, for the people, or for life, for the expression of that, then you would say, oh, I see. I understand. There is no way that that can be explained on the positive. No way. Not a man of God. That cannot be explained on the positive. And it cannot be explained that not one of his people is willing or is not afraid to come and check me or us out. They're full of fear. Do you fear Allah or do you fear Lewis? So since you fear Lewis, well, should Lewis fear me? It looks like he should. You ain't Lewis and you haven't gone to the hospital to get your rectum cut out. Your urinary tract rerouted. You see? So it's a bunch of foolishness that people go along with and you accept it. The nation of Islam, in a few days, I will be there in the seat of power. Not in the nation of Islam, because there ain't no nation of Islam. Everything has to live out its purpose. If I want to see if my wife is really with me, I may leave her home for a few days and see what she says and how she responds to me. And it's very negative and whatnot, and what I'm doing, there is no willing participation for her to understand what I'm doing, then I know she's not with me. I remember, I think it was in 1995, the minister stood at Madison Square Garden. Place was packed. He made a statement that Allah or God has made me very pleasing to look at. He was correct. Why didn't that keep up? Because the Lamb, the Jesus, the Moses, the messenger, came and confronted him and relieved him, gave him relief. And in return, he shut him out. You shall not come back in your home. You shall not speak from the rostrum of what you got started. You will not be able to get past me, period. You are not going to make it. You and that Solomon, we have nothing to do with you. Are you sure about that? That's right. I will die before that happens. I said, no, you're not going to die, but you're going to wish you do. So, did I lie?
Thank you. One more thing I'd like to say. I have a couple of habits.
Before you go any further, yeah. I hope you all understand. I hope you understand, because we're speaking about me now. We're speaking about me. And I don't care, it don't make no difference how much you love the minister. It's already documented in the scripture that you all just love this. I love him. When he got up on, what was God's order? Take him up on Mount Horeb, right? And strip him of his arraignment. Give it to his brother. Is that documented? Well, all of you that loved him couldn't stop it. So what good is your love? That's like a man, I'm so in love with my wife, I just, and she's running out with another man. I see him, but I'm so in love with her, I'm scared to approach her because she might get mad with me. Oh, no. That's not going to happen. Hope you understand. It don't make no difference. Here's how it goes. Here's how it goes. And I don't care who like it or don't like it. Here's how it goes. If I hold something from you, nobody, I don't care how many people get together, can give it to you. If I give you something, nobody can take it from you. No baptize, no situation, no country, no earth people, can't take it from you. No space people, they can't take it from you. Now you're going to tell me that this man is so ignorant, he can't see what I'm doing is right? I mean, Stevie Wonder can see that. And Ray Charles is the old one, he can see it. You see? So it's just a matter of time. I will be in the place that we set up for this. Just like it's written, you will be 400 years under this man's foot. And in the 430th year, I will come after you. The process will start. And I will bring you out with great substance. Nobody has been able to do that. And just before I come, I will send you the prophet Elijah. Just before that great and dreadful day. Just before that. And after he comes and gives you the message, then I personally will show up and take you out with great substance. They showed you some of it on the television, what we're doing. That's the process of it. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. And the message was just that you God, black man, and the open enemy, the devil, is the white man. That was the main thing about it. Then I come along and say, look, you got that. Your real enemy is inside you. It's called Satan. The message didn't teach you on that. So those of you that start listening and thinking and going with that trend of thought and bearing witness that, oh, I'm my worst enemy, like the brother said. They say, well, thank you, Allah, for bringing that to my attention. Because, like the Bible reads, it is not flesh and blood that we're fighting against. You see? So it's the same thing with the minister. He thought I could run on over there and grab him in the collar, throw him at the palace, and condemn him for. No, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. I can blow a germ in the air. I'm God, man. I'm God. For real. And this is somewhat of a working challenge, I may say, to see how long a person can stand something. Each day I turn the knob just a little bit, just to let it know it ain't getting better. Then just before the final punch, I back all the way off. Yeah. They breathe. And when they let themselves down, let their guards down and get in their breath, and they start feeling themselves again, then the punch comes, pow! No way to recuperate from that. Because it's so sudden, the brain can't get yourself set up for it. Same way that we said it's going to happen to this country. They're going to be building like they're going to be here forever. Wall Street going to go over the 1,000 mark. They're just having a good time. And suddenly, boom! They jumping out of windows. Planes is falling. Ships is sinking. Earthquakes. Tornadoes. Hail. Big as boulders. All of a sudden, just bam, all of the houses they put up, they were so having such prosperity, hell come knock it down. 5, 10 minutes, it's all gone. They can't get the planes off the air, up in the air. Can't get them off the ground. Hell just beat them up. Or we'll send over a swarm of thick mosquitoes. So we let the plane take off, but the mosquitoes are so thick, by the time they get up in the air, it kills the plane. See, now they can do it with a bird. A bird passes it on through. But when you picture this, if you take a container, a glass, let's say a glass container, and you fill it up with rocks, you say, well, it's full, right? Then you say, you go get some sand and put in it. It goes all around. Now you say it's really full. Now you go get some water and pour in. Now it's really full. However, look what happened. As long as it was just rocks, say the bird, when it comes through, the engine can tie it up and pass it on out. But when it gets down to that fine nitty-gritty, where when it goes in, it becomes like a paste and shuts down everything because it's fine. You know, it's like the coal. It's so small, when you get it, the devil ain't made nothing to cure it, so he said, God help you, God bless you. God has to do it because he can't help you. Because it's real small. I'm God. You see? So when they go to jump off, well, we're going to jump off and go where? I'm putting it on everybody. And what you've done to everybody, they're not going to let you come when they see what's happening to you. Oh, no, Mr. America. You can't come here. As a matter of fact, your basis that you got to leave here. But I don't want no parts of what you're getting. You see what's being said? How much more should this take place with a man that is stopping you from seeing the light? You can't do anything about it, but I can. You see? Well, I just wanted to say that because I haven't made any real statement concerning that in some time. It's not that it is a bother of mine. However, the king is here. And it's not going to be like he said just before he left the last time, with his big crown on, full of diamonds and whatnot. He says, I'm a king with a beautiful crown, and no subject or land. You'll be the king over. That's not going to happen this time. It's not going to happen. You got it? Yes. And I hope the minister gets it, and all of those that are with him. If you think you're hurting me by holding out, I keep my promise. I made a statement, I will wait. I'm not going to rush in. I said I will wait to see how long you can stand up under a weight that you're not designed to carry. So as long as you're there, I'm still waiting. However, it is coming to an end. And after it comes to an end, you're going to look back and say, I went through all this for nothing? Yes. So I'm not a liar, so I will wait. In my waiting, I do certain things. I got to send you a little wait while I'm waiting. Do you all understand what's being said? Yes. I'm saying because I'm God. I need to keep saying that so you won't think, well, this is something personal. It is and it's not. It is and it is not. I don't come against the preachers. I don't come against Christianity. I don't say nothing about the Buddhists. I don't even say nothing about the Eastern Muslims. Because they ain't got nothing to do with this. They waiting, don't know they waiting, so hey, fine. But I come after 144,000, I shall have them to give to the messenger, and I want the children of the 144,000 so we can clean this place up. So when he gets back and ready to rule, he'll be the king of this planet and it'll be worthy of him. Because when he starts to rule, it's like me. I love art. I love it. I love it. And my wife tells me, I need a new dress. I said, well, you look pretty good in the old one. Had a lot of order to it. I hope that's it.
Yes, sir. I got one last request. If you send me a little push to overcome a couple of bad habits I got,
yes, sir.
Send me an extra push.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I think, are you all having something to eat after this? I don't want to hold you. I hope are the seats comfortable? All right. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to, first of all, share that it didn't take me long to come to this idea. It was...
may I ask something first before you go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and collect your thoughts. The people that left just a few moments ago, were they with Louis? Oh, very good. Anybody here that's with him? You got a nerve to raise your hand? You with Louis? You with Louis? I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came because you get a chance to see a real man now. Okay. And just for proper thought, you know, white folks, if they got a prosperous business, they don't allow you to come in with the same business right close to them. They got a law. You got to be so many feet or so many miles away according to the size of your business. Right? So there won't be any conflict or you taken from them. However, what usually happens, if one is doing it better than the other, and it gets to a point where the other starts losing money, they start going into a deficit, and the other is still gaining or still maintaining. What the one that is doing that is maintaining, they will come together with the one that's losing and say, well, look, what about a buyout? You know, they might not tell them what they're doing wrong because they don't want them to make it. But they say, now, if you come and be with us, you can get so much and so much shares and so on, and we'll do it that way. How about that? Usually it ends up, they take it. What happened to the thinking of the minister with what I'm doing? Why hasn't he come and said, look, how are you doing this? I don't believe you a lot, but I want to know how you're doing this. And I would say, oh, this is how I'm doing it. So and so and so and so and so and so and so. Then after he sees, and I show him, he would be, there's no name for it, to refuse doing the right thing. If he come and say, well, I don't believe you a lot. However, you're doing something that nobody can do. Nobody has done. I want you to do this here. I want the black man to actually grow into what he's supposed to be, and I've got the ear of it. So would you do this here? And don't say anything about that Allah says. If you allow, I'll find it out. I mean, I could agree with that because he's going to find it out. You know, that's just him saying that. If he would do it, that would be just him saying that at that time. After a few things of me showing him how to get you out of trouble and how to make it turn around and be real prosperous for you, I wouldn't have to say I'm Allah. He's going to come out and say, yes, you are. Perhaps he already knows that. And he wanted to keep his business with it. Ain't happening. It's not happening. He's thinking that I was going to take him from you all. That's not happening. I'm taking you all from him. Believe me, I'm the sunshine man. You might say, why are you talking about that? Because the king is here. I gave him the temple on Stony Island Avenue. He should have it back. He the one left it in Farrakhan's hands. Wallace took it, but he left it with Farrakhan. So now he's back. And it was an agreement. You can sit in the seat while I'm gone. When I return, I may reveal the new book through you. When I return. Okay, he returned. You follow? So all of you all that's over there with him and afraid of me and think that I'm a fraud, and every time my name is mentioned to one of you all, oh, he's a fraud. They got 2 buildings, and they're taking all these different pictures out of those 2 buildings and make people think they got a lot. That shows you how dumb they are. Why don't you ask for the phone numbers to the businesses? If we ain't got them, we ain't got no phone numbers. And ring it and see if anybody answers. See what they say. If you don't think we got a bakery, you don't think, order something. See if it's delivered. You see? But that should be from the leader. And y'all got a dumb leader. And I hope you're here to take dumb leader. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Once again, it's a pleasure to be in your presence. Also.
Cut you off again. Not that, hold that thought.
Yes, sir.
Everyone that's with him, these martial art artists and all those kind of things, they think they're here to take, well, minister, I'll take care of him. I'm quite sure he can say, no, don't do that, because he already know what happens when you do that. But just for you all's edification, one that's listening, that's with him, that think you got all this, know how to do this and that and the other, I did what you're thinking. You can't do what you can't think. You can't do what you can't remember of what you knew. You can't do it. I told Khalid, one that you all were afraid of. Not one of you all that was with the minister faced him one-on-one and told him what you're going to do. You got to come like a pack of dogs. Shot the brother. I told him it was going to happen before it happened. Then brought him to the house, sit him up. My wife put his foot up on the stool and told him, look, man, what you doing, you got to stop it. If you don't, that's going to be the end of you. And the meeting you having this night, that's going to be your going away present. That's it. Now we getting in the mail, headquarters, about the Black Panthers. Khalid lives on. You do? Where? It ain't here. What I'm saying is, all of this macho stuff comes from stupidity. I'm saying and doing what God does. So when you come some other kind of dumb way, you're going to get hurt, possibly killed. Maybe. If you're really bad, I don't like to kill you. I like to see you squinch. So that you might return. I'm God. I can't help it. I ain't trying to make myself do that. I just can't help it. Because I'm God. So all of y'all that think that way, you better come and be with me so you can really be warriors. And if you want to fight somebody, I will direct to you who you should fight. Like it reads, kill no one unless I order you to do it. And I'm most capable of telling you who to kill. But killing is easy. You don't think so? Go look at the movies. White folks kill you and they're not even there. So killing ain't no big thing. It's living that's hard without me. If you with me, not hard at all. I'm not going to cut you off this time. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Once again, it's a pleasure being in your presence again, sir. I want to express, first of all, that I came to this idea about 2 years ago, hopeless, helpless, and homeless. And from the teachings that I've gathered, just by coming to this idea, I've been able to grow slowly in my thinking and develop responsibility in my life, stability in my life. I've become a well-groomed father to my child. I've been able to establish my own business, by the way, just based on the teachings that's being taught here. However, the difficulties I'm having, or some of the things that I haven't done since I've been here, was one, write my letter to get my ex, because of, well, there's no excuse, I just haven't done it. A lot of things have been taking place in my life as far as my growth has been concerned, coming from where I come from. I haven't been able to attend a lot of classes that I would like to attend. It just seems to be a lot of obstacles in my way that appear to be good to me. And I'd like to know, is there any way of cutting them off where I continue growing the way I am?
Yes, sir. What you do, if you realize from whence your help comes, that's the way you go. And, you magnify it. It's much like there's no champion without difficulty. And if you're going to, have you all heard the saying about when you face Jesus or the Lord, you receive your book either in your left hand or your right hand? That's not with just everybody. That ain't with white folks. That ain't even with the Christians. That's the ones that came and said, wrote your letter. You wrote your letter and send it to God. And now he got the letter and he calls the roll. And the ones that he called and you come up, you're the one that's going to receive the book. The rest of y'all, you ain't got all your book is left hand. So there ain't no such thing as writing on the left hand. Your whole book is the left hand book. Because you ain't doing nothing to magnify right. You call yourself living, but this life is not life according to what I say life is. So the only ones that's going to be judged are the ones that have put themselves in the line of judgment. Oh Allah, I accept you as being my God, as being my deliverer. You know, and I agree with what you're doing. You write it. It's in your handwriting. And you send it. Now it's on file. So when you get your letter, and when you get the time to face me one-on-one, I will let you know how close you can get to me based on your record. If I just go back and say, well, look, Brother Secretary, this is Brother Alfred, go check his character record from the time he came in. Now we're using modern equipment. He go hit a couple keys on the computer, it pops up. Oh, Father, he gave $10. Well, how long has he been here? 20 years. Okay, well, give him his book in the left hand. You got the idea? So it's not about no whole lot of people, everybody just be coming up and you get your book. Forget that. It's not happening. It is not happening. That's like saying, well, you know, there's no difference between white and black. It is a difference. There's no difference between the Muslims that's in the United Nations of Islam than the Muslims that's in the East. It is a difference. There's no difference in the United Nations of Islam and the Nation of Islam. It is a difference. So why should I judge them that is not with the right after they've had the opportunity to be right? So you don't judge yourself to go on. Just wait for the fight. If you live that long, you know, because it's coming. But the ones that's with me, we're going on the way. Relax. When we come back after the fire is cool, we're going to have a pit stop for a little while there in Alaska. I'm going there for a few days and check that out. You know, we'll be in Alaska for a little while. I'm going to change the temperature for you. Plus, you're going to have a knowledge, know how to withstand the cold anyhow. And then when it kind of cools down here, we come out and level it off and make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. And be smooth as a baby's butt. Ooh. No hills. I don't have to have no powerful engine to pull the mountains. There ain't going to be no mountains. Matter of fact, you ain't going to be riding that way. Now, yes, sir. All of the ones that didn't go with me, you're going to have to go to the sun and come back. Or you stay there in the fire and roast. Over. And over. And over. And I give you some more new skin and over. And you say, my God, is it an eternity? I said, well, that's what it reads. You know, if I got 19 over it, you can't get out. Can't get in unless I ordain it. And in your misery, we can see you, but we're not going to be able to hear you. And we'll put you in a soundproof box, a room, so to say. Put a dome over you. We see you in that dancing behind that heat, but we can't hear you cry because we don't want to hear it. We might be inspired to help you. But if we don't hear it, we see you dancing, we might think you listen to some rap. You all understand what's being said? I'm a humorous God because I'm a God of life. And humor is one of the agents of life. It's one of the ingredients, one of the main ingredients of life. Humor. Not struggle. Struggle takes away humor. You know, it takes a smile and makes it a frown. Okay?
Also, as I look around me, I witness the end of time near. You know, I can see it. However, you know, my grandparents saw it, you know, in their time, and their grandparents saw it in their time. Will I see it in my time?
Well, if you're with me, not only will you see it, you participate in it. The end only means the end of wrong. It don't mean the end of man, the end of the world. It don't mean that. the most severest part that we'll be expressing power on is going to be North America. You know, England and Germany are going to get a little bit. However, North America, that's where it's going to, the lake of fire is really going to be. If you're with me, you're going to be here. You're going to see it. And what they saw, what they call the end of time, they may saw signs of it. But it wasn't the end. When it gets, you can see the end now. Just for the fact that there is no morals. In this country, there's no morals. There's no morals in religion and none in the nation of Islam. There's no morals. With us, we have morals because we have the light, we have the law, we have the will and the purpose, we have direction, we have aim and purpose. So to achieve that, you've got to have a certain amount of discipline, which brings about morals. So it means you're going to live.
My last and final question is that it seems as if I've been here once before.
Oh, yes, sir. More than likely you have.
More than likely.
More than likely you have.
Sir, do you know who?
Not at this time. I'd have to really talk to you and really look at you. You know, it's a little dark in here, and you're dark, handsomely dark. You know, and I'd have to look into your window and see. But the main thing to realize is that you have been here before. Now, if you've been here before, what does that mean for this time if you're going to live? It means that I have to perform my promise or duty to you and cause you to remember if it's worth remembering. If it's not worth remembering, nobody want to remember nothing bad. So if you were in another life here and what you did was, you know, like in the favor or duty of God to bring about a better expression of life, maybe that's something to remember, and I'll cause you to remember. And it will help you be more confirmed as you are today. However, it may not be needed. I'm the only one that hasn't been here before. This is my first visit. I hope it won't be my last. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm making a clarification for my mother. She's a little mic shy. When you asked who was here was a follower of Minister Lewis, she raised her hand. She misunderstood. She thought you said a visitor.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't going to do nothing to her anyhow. You know, I commend the ones that actually come from the minister's camp, so to say camp, because it's not a nation. You know, if you really come on and see what's here for you, then that's intelligent. Well, I'm not going to do nothing to you. If anything happens to you, I'm not after you. The weight is on the minister. It ain't on you. You know, if you suffer or witness any difficulties because of your ignorance of being with him, and I'm not doing anything to you. However, him, I got the weight on him. See how long he's going to carry. So if you come here and be with me, whatnot, if you want to listen, fine. I recommend that. And if you want to be with me and you're afraid, just let me know, like I said before. Just let me know. Or one of our ministers, or the captain, or the lieutenant. Come with the minister, and they're giving me threats, they're going to do this. Just tell them. They'll let you know, hey, don't even worry about that. You would, Solomon, you would allow himself, the very first thing, number one, uno, that I do is put you in a protection bubble. That's number one. Mm-hmm. That's what, so regardless of what they done told you, you got to be loyal to the minister, and you know the messenger said go, and he said go, and follow the minister, which he never said follow. Never. So they give you that pep talk and how everybody else is a hypocrite, a bunch of jibber jab that cannot be proven. So they playing on your own love and using your own love against you. Now, if you love the minister, you know the minister, hey, I love him too. But I just don't love wrong. And if I want to get rid of him, he's been gone. Then I go and take the nation. But since I do love him, he got to see what he did before he goes. I want you to see, you know, like the man in the Ten Commandments that was in the mud pit, and the guy threw the spear, the guards threw the spear. And Moses, that didn't know he was Moses holding, he said, well, one thing I'm not going to get to do, look upon the face of the deliverer before I die. Well, he was looking at him, didn't know it. So the minister's got to know he's going to have to say like Pharaoh, Solomon is God. I say one thing, if I'm not, I've lost my mind. Was that it?
No, so Father, she also expressed that she knew that Lewis is not a man from Allah because he has cancer, and no man that is from Allah would have cancer.
Well, that's true. However, the better language is he's from Allah. However, at the particular time, he's not in the favor of Allah. So we won't say he's not from Allah. The thing of it is, he has actually left Allah. You can really say now he's really from him. He done left. He stepped over the boundary. He granted the messenger what he asked for. He said, well, would you give me my brother to help me? And Allah said, well, yes, I'll give you. He's not my prophet now. He's yours. You may have him. And so now he did it. And so now he has shown that he has taken a step away. I didn't run him away. No spiritual or intelligent man ran him away from me. When the king went and visited him and gave Farrakhan relief, he didn't go down and say, look, you got to get out of the palace. I'm here. I'm going. He didn't say nothing like that. So it was on his own thinking that he decided to step away from God and do battle with God. Well, if he thinks he's God, he can keep that scientist and the messenger. I'm going to stay with, the messenger and Master Muhammad, and he's God. Really? Master Muhammad is God, huh? Well, if he is, where is he? Didn't he hear your cry when you was in pain? What was the purpose from him allowing you to go through that? For you to go through that makes him look like he's a sadist. He derives pleasure from putting pain on his top people. I mean, man, my God. I would want to stay as far away from God as I could, and maybe I'm going to have to go through that. White folks don't put you through that kind of pain. You can go to the hospital and they try to help take it off of you, but they don't put it on you. You got to think. You got to think. If you don't, you're going to lose. You got it? Remember, I'm saying this because the messenger is here. The king. He's got to have his throne. He's got to have his throne. So I'm going to bring a little more pressure. Like on those wrestling matches where they don't count you by pinfall. It's a submission hold. You got to tap out. Got to tap. Got to tap. Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I just wanted to give a little thanks and praise for my life and for you, and express my attitude of gratitude because I've known who you are for a while. I've studied your tape, and I thank you for what you shared today because it brought me to a place to where it confirmed what I was feeling inside, is that I don't care. I don't have to no longer care about what other people think, or what they feel. I think that being created in truth, being the person that I've been all of my life, it's had me where I just always wanted to know God. To me, I think it's beautiful and a blessing to say that God is amongst us today. It just moved through me, and I thank you for that. I know that my experiences in the nation, they're not there with living in God reality today, being with us and amongst us. It's let's follow the minister, and one of the things that kept me from that was I didn't want to be the hypocrite, and I didn't want to feel guilty, and I'm a individual that has a lot of compassion and a lot of love, but for me, this is the only life that I know that I have, I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know, there's so many things that I want to know. And just from the studies, the tapes, and things that my brother has shared with me, you know, it's comforted me to know that God is amongst us. And I thank you. I thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You know, I'm not going to hold you long. You know, after a while, you know, you can talk too much. I have as of yet to show love the way I want to show it. It's like having a child, and you're waiting for the child to get to a certain age so you can show what real love really is. Beyond hug and kiss. Beyond making you feel secure, but, you know, showing that you have the strength to carry them. When you can show it through intelligence that they can use in your absence, that don't never fail them, and they apply it to you because you shared it with them. And not only just sharing it, you shared with them how to use it. You know, like white folks will give you a gun and they'll teach you how to use it. I share with you knowledge and teach you how to use it. And this is what makes you love life. And when me see you doing that, it causes me to be rejoiced. I get a feeling that makes me want to say, well, look, I'm cleansing the earth and saving all the people at the same time. And I don't want for it to happen tomorrow. I'm doing it now, today. I might not do it that way, but the feeling comes up for me to do it. So when I see it, it's like justifies me. If I was to do it, I could. However, there's not enough yet, and that's not the plan. The plan is to retrieve at least what was written, the 144,000, and present them to my real love, the one that has shown me that I'm with you. Even in my ignorance, I won't leave. I will still stay to see. I'm with you. I'm with you. And then when they are presented to him, and they want to be presented to him, and I see the love that they have for each other, and what I already know what's going to happen, this makes me illuminate. You see? And this will cause me to cause you to be able to fill up this 76 quintillion miles. Fill it up in your mind. And if you are strong enough, break the spear of it. If you can go for it. If you need my help, I'm most certainly here to help you. That's what I want. I don't get no relief or any joy or any kick out of seeing people miserable. That's not my style. However, I'm not going to reward the enemy. I said I love the black man. Message to the black man. Man, not male. If I just give the male something because I love him, then he's going to use it against me. And then who am I going to blame? What did I do to cause that? I was wrong for giving it to him. But the black man, I can't wait to share everything that I have, except my wife. But I'll make one just like her to get to you. So we both got one. You see? So when I see you as God talking with God, we can relate. You tell me, look, God, you know that lake you brought over there the other day? You know, what is the purpose of that? Because, you know, it's encroaching on my land. And I would say, well, I didn't know it was going to bother you. What would you have for it to do? Well, if, for the next 100 years, why don't we just change and put it? I said, well, can you do it? Yeah, I can do it, but I want to make sure I ask you first. Well, go ahead. Not that, well, I'm God. I'll put it down, you better ask me. That ain't God. That's a fool. You see? I hope you do. Well, we take one more question. Does anyone else have a pressing question? No one? Any Christians? Any lost founds? You have any? I'm here. When you blink your eye, I'm gone. For real. I leave part of me here. Part of me. Because I got to get up out of here. You know, this time when I came here to California, When I got in, I picked up, I said, whoop, looks like Satan is now respecting me. I don't pick up no resistance like he used to have here in California for me. So it's like he ain't going to change, but he's going to be a good boy until I leave. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. So those of you that are with me, when I leave, hold on. Because he's going to try to get you. Because I'm gone. But he's already know I can't win. So while he's here in his presence and got the king with him, I'm just going to lay still. I ain't going to do nothing. So he's respecting me. When I leave, you can do the same thing. You can make him respect you too. But you got to make him. He's not going to do it just because you say, well, I'm with Solomon. They say, really? I'm going to let you see if you're really with him. And when he start putting it on you, say, oh, God, I wish I never went over here with that Solomon. If you were just a male. And if you think, well, it's coming from Satan from the outside. No. It'll be from you. When you go to the temple and say, brother, minister, and he asks, well, why are you asking me that? Didn't you come to math class? Satan jumps up in you. You ain't no better than me, brother minister. You ain't got no right talking to me like that. I ain't coming back no more. You thought it was the minister. Well, it wasn't. It was Satan. And he tricked you and you allowed him to be tricked. And can you fool a Muslim nowadays? You thought it meant can white folks fool you. That ain't what it means. Can a Muslim be fooled today? Not behind Solomon. Can't be fooled. Because we know what makes fools. And if you're not one, and you see foolishness coming up in your thought, you say, oh, get back, Satan. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I promise to be good.
Assalamu alaikum, Father. This question concerns a Masonic supervisor on my job, and he happens to be original. And I'm wondering are they taught that you are, in the story of Hiram Abiff, are original?
You say, is it original? What they teach?
Are they taught that you are original?
You talking about original man?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Solomon?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's black.
The Masons are taught that?
Yes, sir. The Masons, when you reach the, 33 and the third degree, they're taught that Jesus is black. They can go see his body, and Solomon is black.
Yes, sir.
And the priest that tried to go and lift up the black man out of the shallow grave, he's also black.
Yes, sir.
And the architect, that's buried, that they buried him.
Yes, sir.
He's black.
Hiram Abiff.
Yes, sir, he's black.
Yes, sir.
They teach that. They know he's black.
Yes, sir. One last question now.
The problem is, the brother that's going through that is taught by white folks.
Yes, sir.
So just by white folks teaching you, it makes you have a certain respect for the white man and don't enforce the reality of everything that's real is black. So you go around and quote it, but if you were asked to do something about it in the way of life and making it real and come on over and be with life, then you're reluctant because white folks ain't over that. You see?
Yes, sir. In your history, I believe I heard you said you wrote your letter. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But not that I said I wrote a letter. I'm saying you are writing to me. When the messenger was here, you still wrote to me.
Yes, sir.
You sent it to his address. Well, he was the closest person to me, so that's what I would get. And the person that has the records and the evidence is Abbas Rasul. So we know who the 144,000 is because you wrote your letter. And then those of you that are part came with the first and whatnot. When you come with me, now you sign a letter of declaration. You don't write your letter all over again because you wrote it. Now you just sign a letter of declaration. I'm now with Allah, the one that I wrote the letter to in the first place. So that's all. As far as me writing a letter, I went through everything that you have to go through. I wrote a letter, had to write it twice. Didn't pass it the first time. Got highly upset. I wrote it again. Came back, they said, Royall, come on, you get your eggs. Yay, I'm in the movies now.
Yes, sir. So it's just a matter of writing it over and over until it comes out to be correct.
Yes, sir. If you can write, what I would suggest that you do, before you do anything in life, You plan what you're going to do, and when you step out to do it, just before you make the step, you say, I'm doing this in the name of Allah and His messenger or king. And step out. Then you got two people with you. Then you go to make take off on your left foot, and it's supposed to be right, we'll stop you. Even if you have to stumble to catch yourself with your right, you took off with your right foot. And then you turn that right.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Well, I want to thank the church and the pastor here for allowing us to use the facility. We brought some people with us. I wanted them to see some of the things that I see and what's out here to be seen. And we got a bus this time that made the whole trip. And it was rather pleasurable. So now we have the experience of one that wasn't so pleasant and one that's very pleasant. So we are at least making progress. And all of you all that will hear this tape, start really thinking positive so that you can receive what's already here for you. I don't have to go get nothing. I'm here to retrieve you. Anything else other than that, I don't have to go get it. It is already here waiting. It is waiting. The palace is waiting. The temple is waiting. We got plenty of black men and women that's waiting. The Christians are waiting. The scientists are waiting. Everybody is waiting. And the minister is under the weight. You see? And I'm the one that removes weight. I cause you to walk around very light and heavy. You're so heavy you don't know what weight is. Here. I'm going to make you like me, where you don't have to call on, you don't have to say I'm going in the name of nothing. Just from your own thinking, the own exactness of your righteousness, you step out. That's it. You might meet me on the way. You're going this way, I'm going this way. That's it. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. You know? Isn't that wonderful? Yes, sir. And just think. To start off with, to show the world that you most certainly is the God and goddesses, we got 2,000 by 3,000 that is ordained for us by the Supreme Being and the workers of the Supreme Being, which is the 24 scientists, 12 major ones. They want to see you have it. When they were telling me, they said, Royall, go get them. We only want a few minds. And we got to have what we want. We're not going to go get them. You go get them. And don't be dismayed if only a few come. That's all we want. I said, no problem. I saddled up, put my 6-gun on, got straight, jumped on the trigger, and said, let's go. Now I've been galloping around the country, attracting the few minds. They only want, they didn't say we want a bunch of people, or we want the black man. They didn't say that. We only want a few minds. And just as a hint, on the East Coast, in the northeast corner, there's some brilliant scientists. We want them. Oh, you should have what you want then. I'm off and running. That's where I came from. Northeast corner, on the East Coast, came from Brooklyn, New York. Minister Farrakhan came from Manhattan, New York, number 7. Abbas Rasul came from Connecticut. You name it, they came from New York or in that area. And which way New York goes, they say that's the way the nation goes. Because I am the nation from New York. Assalamu alaikum.